Sabrina Gonzalez Pasterski. A graded reader, Level B1. Chapter 1, The Girl in the Garage. Sabrina was born in 1993 in Chicago. While other children were playing with dolls or video games, Sabrina was curious about how things worked. Her father was an attorney, but he encouraged her interest in mechanics. She spent many hours in their family garage. It was not a normal place for a young girl to hang out. The garage was filled with tools, scrap metal, and technical manuals. Sabrina loved the smell of oil and the feel of cold steel. She didn't want to just fly in a plane, she wanted to understand the soul of the machine. By the age of 9, she was already thinking about complex engineering. Her mind worked like a clock, always turning gears to find solutions. Chapter 2, A Very Big Project. At the age of 12, Sabrina decided to start a project that most adults would find impossible. She wanted to build her own airplane. Most people thought she was joking, but Sabrina was very serious. She bought a kit for a Zenith CH-601 and began to assemble it. Every day after school, she went straight to the garage. She learned how to weld metal and how to connect complex electrical systems. Her hands were often covered in grease, but her eyes were full of determination. It took her almost 2 years to complete the task. She had to document every single step for the aviation authorities. She was creating something that would eventually carry her into the sky. Chapter 3, Taking Flight. In 2009, when Sabrina was only 16, her plane was finally ready. The Federal Aviation Administration gave her permission to fly. However, there was a small problem. She was old enough to fly a plane, but she was not yet old enough to drive a car alone. She took her red plane to the local airport. The engine roared to life, and the propeller started to spin quickly. She felt a mix of nerves and pure excitement as the wheels left the ground. Looking down at the world below, she realized that physics was not just in books. Physics was the force that kept her in the air. That flight changed her life forever because it proved that her hard work could defy gravity. Chapter 4, The Doors of MIT. After her success with the airplane, Sabrina applied to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. At first, she was actually put on a waiting list. The professors were not sure if she was the right fit for the prestigious university. However, 2 professors saw a video of her building her plane. They were absolutely amazed by her talent and her practical skills. Her potential is off the charts, they said. She was accepted, and she moved from Chicago to Massachusetts. University life was challenging, but Sabrina excelled in every subject. She didn't care about social media or parties. She stayed focused on her equations and her love for the physical world. Chapter 5, From Machines to Mind. While at MIT, Sabrina's interests began to shift. She still loved airplanes, but she started to look at the big questions of the universe. She became fascinated by theoretical physics. She wanted to understand black holes, gravity, and the fabric of space-time. She graduated from MIT with a perfect grade point average of 5.0. This was a rare achievement that caught the attention of the entire scientific community. She didn't need a laboratory anymore, she only needed a pen and paper. She realized that the most powerful tool in the world was the human brain. She was ready to move from building machines to solving the mysteries of the cosmos. Chapter 6, The Harvard Years. After her success at MIT, Sabrina moved to Harvard University for her doctoral studies. She was accepted into the PhD program, which is one of the most competitive in the world. At Harvard, she joined the Center for the Fundamental Laws of Nature. She began to study high-energy physics, a field that looks at the smallest particles in the universe. Her work focused on a very difficult topic called quantum gravity. This subject tries to explain how gravity works on a tiny, subatomic scale. Many students find this area of physics overwhelming, but Sabrina felt at home with the complex numbers. She received several prestigious fellowships, including one from the Hertz Foundation. This allowed her to focus entirely on her research without any distractions. She was quickly becoming a leading voice in a world usually dominated by much older scientists. Her professors noticed that she had a natural gift for seeing patterns that others missed. Chapter 7: A Message from a Genius. One of the most incredible moments of her career happened while she was still a student. Sabrina wrote a scientific paper about the movement of particles and the nature of space-time. The legendary physicist Stephen Hawking actually cited her work in one of his final research papers. In the world of science, being mentioned by Hawking is like a young musician being praised by Mozart. It was a clear sign that her ideas were changing the way experts thought about the universe. She also worked closely with Andrew Strominger, a very famous physicist at Harvard. Together, they discovered new ways to look at how information is stored in black holes. The media began to call her the new Einstein, a title that very few people ever receive. However, Sabrina remained very humble despite the international attention. She told reporters that she was just a student who loved to solve problems. For her, the real reward was not the fame, but the joy of discovery. Chapter 8: Living Without a Smartphone. Despite her fame in the digital age, Sabrina lives a very different life compared to most young people. For a long time, she chose not to have a smartphone or any social media accounts. While other people were checking their likes on Instagram, Sabrina was checking her equations. She believes that deep thinking requires a lot of focus and very few distractions. She often spends her days in a quiet room with just a pen and a piece of paper. She once said that she doesn't need a laboratory because her mind is her laboratory. Her discipline is just as impressive as her intelligence. She doesn't follow trends or care about being a celebrity. Instead, she prefers the company of books and the silence of her own thoughts. This lifestyle allows her to think about the universe in a way that most people cannot. She shows us that sometimes we need to disconnect from the world to understand it better. Chapter 9: Inspiring the Next Generation. Sabrina's story has inspired thousands of young people, especially girls, to study science. She has been featured on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list and in many international magazines. Even though she is a private person, she knows that her journey is important for others to see. She wants young women to know that they can excel in engineering, physics, and math. In 2017, she even met with the Queen of Jordan to discuss the importance of education for girls. She often speaks about the first-generation experience, as her mother moved to the US from Cuba. Her success is a reminder that talent can come from anywhere if it is supported by hard work. She encourages her fans to be curious and to never be afraid of a difficult challenge. "Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it," is a message she lives by every day. She is not just a physicist, she is a role model for the dreamers of the future. Chapter 10: The Future of Physics. Today, Sabrina continues to push the boundaries of what we know about our world. She completed her PhD at Harvard and began a prestigious fellowship at Princeton University. She is currently researching the fundamental laws that govern the entire universe. Her goal is to find a theory of everything that can explain all physical forces. This is a goal that even Albert Einstein could not fully reach during his lifetime. Many people believe that Sabrina might be the one to finally solve this mystery. She continues to work on her research with the same passion she had in her father's garage. Whether she is thinking about black holes or the start of the universe, she remains curious. The world is watching her closely, waiting for her next big discovery. She reminds us that the universe is a giant puzzle, and we are all invited to help solve it. The red airplane she built years ago was just the beginning of a much longer journey. The end.